Now here's a beat 'em up you don't normally see mentioned. This is Night Slashers from Dated East. Now Dated East are well known for the beat 'em ups. They've got the Avengers and Galactic Storm, Captain America and the Avengers, the classic Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja, and even some more obscure ones such as Desert Assault and Gates of Doom. But you don't really hear many people talking about this game. And it makes me wonder why, because it's definitely one of the classics. Maybe not one of the greatest, but definitely one of the classics. So the idea of the game is pretty simple, as in with most walk along beat 'em ups. Basically you walk along and beat the crap out of all the living zombies. Mind you, is living the right word to use? Now this game wasn't very popular in the arcades, or at least I never sort of saw that around. Then again, I lived in the UK when this was released. And the only reason I can think for it not being too popular is the amount of gore in the game. Now considering the age of this game, Dated East was certainly pushing the boundaries as far as gore goes in arcade gaming. It makes Splatterhouse look extremely tame. Now of course the arcade does feature a toned down version of the gore, so you can have it on easy gore or hardcore gore, which is what we're playing now. So as you can see, the visuals are pretty nice, which is quite a change since most Dated East beat 'em ups do look a bit on the crappy side. Well, the Captain America ones certainly do anyway. And one lovely thing I do like about this game is the bonus round. Yeah, no, like kicking zombies in the faces there. Oh, kick his head off. So Night Slashers has certainly got the looks, but unfortunately where it does lack is the playability. Now you got your standard punch, you got sort of a kick, you got a flying kick, and got a slight dash move, and that's about it really. There are no combinations to speak of, well, none that really matter. And the whole game just feels a bit lacking in the moves department, mainly because it is. And it's a shame really, because that really does damage the game's lastability.
You think you can beat me?
You may notice as well that the special really does drain your energy bar. Andro Dunos, Blazing Stars, Prehistoric Isle 2, Pulsar, Strikers 1945 Plus, Twinkle Star Sprites, Viewpoint, and of course Z-Blade. What all those games are in common? That's right, they're all Neo Geo shooters. I bet you didn't know there were that many shooters on the Neo Geo. Neither did I. So we're going to take a look at one of the shooters that normally takes a bit of a backseat, mainly because everybody talks about Pulsar Viewpoint all the time. This is Last Resort. Now a lot of people may think that Last Resort is a bit of an R-Type rip-off. Well, to be honest, it's got a pod or an option which you can charge up and fire, just like R-Type, but the ship swords, it looks like the R-Type craft, but apart from that, that's where the similarities end, to be honest. This is indeed one hell of a quick and tough shooter. And it's one of those shooters where you've got to keep pressing the bloody button to fire. But as you can see, I'm cheating at the moment with rapid fire. Because the game is bloody hard, even on easy. Looks like I'm going to get... yeah. Oh, I just about managed to get out of that one. Now, one handy thing about the pod is that it can absorb enemy fire, which certainly comes in handy when attacking some of the bosses. Now, considering this is one of the earlier Neo Geo titles, you've got to admit it does look quite decent. There's certainly plenty of action on screen and very minimal slowdown. I like the little details, the way you blast ships, the pilots sort of eject from the spaceships. That is pretty cool. Okay, so it's time to get the PC-98 back out. Now this is a game that many people may say is a complete rip-off of the Assault Suit series, especially Assault Suit Valken, better known as Cybernator in the West, which many people think Konami made, but they didn't. NCS Messiah made it. I can't even say the name of the company anymore. So anyway, typical for PC-98 games, you can see we've got loads of animated still sections, and it comes as no surprise that those ladies get their assets out later on in the game. Yes. But what's new for the PC-98 game? So here we go with the main game. Now you can actually play just these action sequences without having all the hentai, topless ladies and a bit of, you know what's showing. Or you can play both sections, which I'm pretty sure most people will do. Now, as you can see, the game clearly looks like the Mega Drive Assault Suit game from the first level, or should that be the Sega Saturn Assault Suit game? I can't really remember now. I think it looks more like the Sega Saturn one, actually. Control-wise, it's pretty good. It controls quite similar to Assault Suit Valken on the Super Famicom, or Cybernator as I said it was called before, in the West. The only problem I do have is it can be a little bit tricky to move and aim. Now there are two options to control the gun. You can actually have a freedom, or free move, So as you move around, the gun will move around also. Or you can sort of lock the gun so you can walk forward with the gun shooting upwards, but that does seem a little bit more fiddlier. But that's what happens when you've only got 2 fire buttons. Graphic wise, it's not bad. For the PC-98, it's pretty decent. Quite smooth. That's certainly saying something. And the tunes are quite good as well. Unfortunately, the game is rock solid. Now, a lot of people seem to think the Japanese games were a lot easier, but that certainly isn't the case when it came to Japanese hardcore games or, you know, X68000 or PC-98 games or even PC-88 games. They were really tough challenges. The game does have a slight RPG element in it, such as pretty much like the Sega Saturn Assault Suit Lamos 2, you can power up your weapons throughout the different levels, you know, select the various weapon upgrades and so on. Fortunately, you're not going to see any breasts. Game over. Ah, the age-old debate. Which is more powerful graphic-wise? The Sega Master System or the Nintendo Entertainment System? Well, you'd have to be blind if you said that didn't look impressive. This is Renegade for the Sega Master System. So, known in Japan as Neketsu Koha Kunio-kun, if I remember rightly. Roughly translated as the hot-blooded tough guy Kunio. This is part of the series by Technos, which is quite strange because Taito actually released the arcade in the West. But anyway, yeah, the idea is quite similar to Technos' Double Dragon series, as you walk along and beat the crap out of everybody in sight. Unfortunately, this also has the weird controls that some of the games did have, whereas punch and kick sometimes decide to change direction depending on which way you're facing. Yeah, it's bloody annoying. But what can you do? That's the way the arcade was. Now graphically, this Sega made conversion is very good. Of course the arcade's got a lot more detail in it. But for the Sega Master System, this is like, ooh, unbelievable. It really does look colourful, and you know, there isn't much sprite flicker going on. And the sound's not too bad either. Playability wise, well, yeah, it plays like the arcade. But I think this is a lot more tougher than the arcade because your little puny reach on the arms doesn't seem to connect with the enemies now. It's been a long time since I played the arcade machine, and I can't really remember if that suffered from the same problem. Possibly. Yep, into the garbage you go. Yeah, whatever. Actually, I do quite like this stage. You can cheat by kicking them into the water. There's actually an area on Double Dragon where you can do this as well. As you can see, we're having the problem there of the unfair AI just beating me down. Go on, get in the bloody water, you bastard. Yeah, and you, go on, get in. As you can see, I'm not kicking backwards and punching forwards. But you know, once you get used to the weird control system, the game isn't too bad. In fact, it's quite enjoyable. For 8-bit standards, especially on the Master System. And there's also quite a bit of variety in the game. How many Master System games do you know we can walk along, kick people off the bikes and steal the bikes and go down the road? Not many. Unfortunately, this game is pretty rare. You've got a better chance of finding a double dragon than you have of finding this. In fact, you could even find Vigilante before you found this. Talking of which, Vigilante on the Master System looks pretty good as well. Ah, bugger. Game over. Wow, how stylish is that? Classic. Before we get into the game, just take a look at the sound test. Ah, classic retro coolness. How I miss it. Okay, Rolling Thunder 2, far better than Rolling Thunder 1, and actually better than Rolling Thunder 3 in my opinion. You had to choose between two people, the woman or the male, whose names I just cannot remember at the moment. Of course, I'm going to go the woman. I don't know why, women characters always appeal to me more in games. So the idea of Rolling Thunder 2 is quite simple. Walk along, see a baddie, and shoot them. Now while the idea is very basic, it is extremely enjoyable and playable. See, the whole thing about Rolling Thunder is timing. You've got to time your jumps perfectly right. You've got to time when you pop your head up unless you want to get it shut off. And you've got to time your turns very quickly as well. Basically, it's one of those games which you just don't see these days. It's about skill. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, you've only got two little blue blocks. They're your energy blocks. You get shot, you're going to lose one block. You get shot again, you're going to be dead. That's it. Extremely strict. And you know, first time you play, you might try and rush through the entire game, or rush through the entire level, and you'll find yourself dead in no time. That's not the point of the game. You're going to take it easy. Oh, you gotta love the passwords. Magical Thunder, or whatever it said. So in between each level you get these little cutscenes which have pretty decent graphics and explain the story of the game. So yeah, as I was saying, the idea is to take the levels slowly and examine where the enemies are coming from and what they're going to do. It actually does add to the spy atmosphere of the game. So we've got this panther down here. Now you can take these out by shooting them twice in the face. But it is easier just to get out the way. See, the idea is to get these panthers to go down there and they won't come back up now. So I'm safe. You can duck into the alcoves if you want, but I find it a lot easier just to get the panthers to drop down. And here we go with the first level boss. You may think that the little yellow dots coming out of the robot are bullets, but they're not. It took me ages to figure that one out. It's just a targeting line. gonna get away from this one. Oh yes. And I've got the machine gun. Unlike Rolling Thunder 3, Rolling Thunder 2 actually came out in Europe, America and Japan, so it is quite easy to find the game. I would recommend picking up the Japanese version just for the cover art, to be honest, because it is quite nice. If you can't, any version will do, they're all great versions, in fact they're all pretty much the same. Apart from the cover, that is. Ah, there once was a time when Konami were the greatest game company in the world. These days they just release shite. Well, they do have one or two good games, but mostly shite, or they license shite. A bit like that Xbox 360 game and PlayStation 3 game. Oh, whatever it was called. You take your head off, in fact you can take all your body parts off and you're some sort of assassin. Yep, that's how shite it was. I can't even remember what the game was called. But it was shit, and they licensed it. Stupid ass Konami. But back in the mid-90s, Konami couldn't do much wrong. In fact, pretty much every game they made was a stellar release. And this is one game that they did release and make, which certainly showed you that the Super Famicom was light years ahead of the Mega Drive. Tiny Toon Adventures. So colourful, excellent music, sounded just like, well, back then it sounded just like the animation's theme tune. And a pretty decent game to boot. Although the controls were a bit fiddly out on the run or the dash on the L and R triggers. So the idea of the game is pretty simple. You just basically got to get from A to B throughout the level. Kill enemies by sort of somersaulting onto them or dashing through them and kicking them in the face, which doesn't sound so nice. Of course your dash is limited, as you can see from the pink and yellow energy bar up at the top of the screen. But not to worry, because if you collect a certain silver carrot, it fills up your dash meter instantly. So throughout the game, every time you complete a stage, you get these little bonus sections, which is the wheels of game. So little touches like this is what made Konami so great back then. What happened to them? Okay, so as you can see, there's various characters from the Tiny Toons world. Each character has a different bonus game. In fact, this is one of the most boring of the bonus games. In fact, I can't even remember what this character's name is. I know it's based on Tweety Pie. It was also annoying. But anyway, yeah, the idea is you select the character, and that character gets weighed against the other character, which the CPU chooses. And if your character is heavier, you get one bonus life. As you can see, that's a draw. How about Mini Daffy? Oh, he is lighter. I honestly have no idea what these Tiny Toon characters' names are. I think her name is Babs. That's just a guess. But she's got a bit of a lard ass according to that scale. As you can see, even all the enemies in the game are based upon various Warner Brothers cartoons characters. And That building in the background seems to be inspired from Back to the Future 3 if you ask me. We're in the Wild West and they've got toasters on the counter? That can't be right. Ah, now this is one stage that really did wow me back in the day. I think it was basically the colours and the audio that did it. Background music's amazing. If I remember rightly, you can actually dash up here and jump over the actual scenery. Yeah, there you go. Haha, nice. And no, this isn't a bonus game, this is actually one of the levels. To keep the variety up, because it is quite a long game, Konami have stuck in various different ways to get through levels. As you can see in this one, you play American football, or just football if you're an American. So if you've never played Tiny Toon Adventures, I certainly recommend you find it. I think it's called Bust Loose or something in the United States. I think the European version's called that as well. I really can't remember, to be honest. But if you've never played the game, I certainly do recommend checking it out. Even all these years later, it still looks good and, you know, it still plays pretty decent as well. So I'm just going to be quiet and I'll leave you in the capable hands of, I guess his name would be Buster.